Hey everybody, it's Patrick with P-Dub's Crypto World. So, I'm putting this out there today because I've been having some conversations with a couple of the Discord members here as the dilution application is getting closer and closer to its beta testing here. Getting more questions about, bag losses and how to approach them. And I've been doing a series lately on some of the easier ways for doing profit trailers, dilution strategy in here manually. And as I've been testing with the dilution algorithm I've been using, the re-dilution is something that I really want to everybody to grasp on because it's really important. Dilution itself is great for dissolving away a lot of your bags. So I've had this here pending for a couple of days. Its price has been going down, and I've been chipping away at it slowly but surely. And the pieces get bigger the closer it gets to fruition. But recently, I've been testing the re-dilution where I only do certain amount of them. So, like if I only push it once or twice the amount that I'm going to re-dilute if I get stuck into a bag when I'm doing dilution. So this right here, this XML is something that I had to make a educated choice on. So I took a hit here for $9-ish. So the basic that I want to get across here is if you look at the pricing structure on this, it's not a very high movement and the volume is not quite always there. This hasn't got a lot of price action. It evidently had some point when I purchased it before. My buying was a bit lower, so I wasn't worried about the bought price on them. So I may have been saying under 1,000 or above 500. And this really plays a lot because it has bigger moves. So if it doesn't actually have the volume, then it's not going to account. You may be stuck in that for a little while. And that's the problem with the lack of volume, and so lack of volatility and volume with a coin that's got stuck into a bag. This was 32% negative at one point, and I diluted some pieces of it away, but XLM has just been a problem for me the last couple of weeks. It's just not moving enough to suit me. And so when I buy it, it would get stuck into a bag and then I'd have to re-dilute it. So I made the executive decision that this right here, that is acceptable loss for me at this point, just in testing. Typically I wouldn't do this, but my buying, I'm not normally going to buy XLM because its price here. I like to keep it about 2,000 and above. And you can see a lot of my other coins here have done a decent job of diluting. You can see I picked it up a couple times here, but if you look through most of these, you'll see Algo, SXP, even MCO doesn't get a lot of play for whatever reason right now. So it comes down to dilution is great for getting rid of those bags, but sometimes you just have to understand that it's going to take you much longer to dilute those bags with low volatility and low volume and low prices. And you just have to ask yourself if you're willing to dedicate the time and everything to that. A lot of the times you had people who were saying, well, why don't you just sell the coin and then you would end up making that amount back by the amount of your trades. Well, you could also get stuck into a bag again and being stuck in the same situation. So this is where, risk versus reward. Do I feel like I'm going to get out of this quick enough, or could I turn around and make more money in that time with this amount? And that's a pretty decent sized chunk of mine, because that's literally about 20% of what my entire portfolio is. And that was re-diluting 4 to 5 times. So I did manage to bring it from the 32 up, because it would constantly keep going up, but in little amounts. So the $9 that I've lost was, I think it was like 16 at one point. So there is benefit in re-dilution even if you are going to end up taking a hit on the bag. But don't think that when you commit to dilution that you have to stay that route the entire time. You can use it like any other strategy. Get in, use it for what you need to. Don't use it for the things that you don't need to. But I like to use dilution on smaller amounts, because when I go to a DCA where I'm negative 2.5 or more, and my threshold is negative 3.75 for diluting coins. And you can see from my pending amounts here that now this is becoming to where it won't even need to be in dilution if it goes and hits its mark. But I'm still going to dilute this coin just for the simple fact that I already started it. And you can see some other coins are making their way back, and I'm taking chunks of them as they go. So don't be afraid at a certain point to say, okay, I'm not going to dilute this anymore, I'm just going to let this roll. Or an SXP where you see volume on it tends to be pretty good right now, I think. Let's see here. SXP right here, 3081. I think that's pretty good volume. So it makes it more volatile, but you also have more movement, and Profit Trailer is able to track the trends and do everything you need a little more. So yes, you hear me all the time preaching dilution this, dilution that, but understand that you need to do what works best for the circumstance, and sometimes it is just better to cut your losses. You don't have to take losses, but you have to be willing to take the time and go through, make your buys, whether it's manually, whether you're letting Profit Trailer do it. Go through and make your buys, and understand that when you're going to your pending orders, they're not always going to be nice. You're not always going to be able to get out of these bags super quick, super simple, or super clean. Dilution does the dirty work, and the algorithm I put together eventually will do it for many of you as well, easily. But in the time that does, you're going to have to set guidelines for what works best for you. So I hope this is informative to you guys when it comes down to making a decision on when it's actually a good time to cut loose, because that's going to determine on what you're willing to take a loss at. And to me, like this amount that I've taken a loss on, this 8.15% equates to 970 on a bigger. If I would have nipped that in the bud, I would have still been about the same price, because I did average down and with the re-dilution. When you re-dilute, it actually averages down, but in your favor and better than a normal DCA averaging down, because you're chipping away pieces, and as those pieces chip away, that re-dilution is even more potent of taking down your price, because now you're taking away the overall amount of the coin that you have to make it more potent when you do essentially double down. So take it for what you will. Hopefully this is informative. I'm going to have more videos coming out here shortly, and hoping to put something out to surprise a few people next week. And yeah, so I definitely appreciate you taking the time and watching my video. If you found it useful, please like, subscribe, leave some comments in here about something you maybe like me to cover. I'll be honest, much of what I do is dilution and DCA strategy right now, so that's kind of the wheelhouse. I'm always looking for problems to solve, so if you've got some, put them in the comments, and I'll get to them and try to give you an answer or help you out. All right, thanks again.